do I give a fuck? Why do I give a fuck? Why do I try so hard? Why do I care so much?
Welcome to Why Do I Give a Fuck? A cross-cultural conversation between myself, Diane Tate,
and Johanna Thompson. In these times of great struggle and possible shift, we ask ourselves,
why do we give a fuck about any of it? How does the lens we see the world through impact what we see?
And what do we do about it?
I've been struggling to be myself around you. When you're with me, I get shut back in my head. And other thoughts I want to share with you is left behind, and I just can't seem to express myself.
Well, I finally got you to Charleston.
You sure did, girl.
We've been talking about this a long time.
I know. And I don't know how you got me here. This has been kind of...
I'm not sure either. But I'm very grateful that you came.
Thank you.
I am very grateful that you came. And, you know, we have some amazing guests here with us today for this conversation. But I wanted to just take a moment to talk about where we are. And because this, I think, is a very important part of this process. So we had a couple of choices of where we were going to be for this podcast, and we ended up in the absolute right place. So we are at the Jenkins Youth and Family Village, which used to be called the Jenkins Orphanage, and it was founded in 1891 by Reverend Dr. Daniel Joseph Jenkins. And so we are very excited to be in this building and feeling this energy and being here with everyone here. I have a short bio of the Jenkins Youth and Family Village that I wanted to just share so that we can kind of set the space. For over 130 years, Jenkins Youth and Family Village, formerly known as Jenkins Orphanage, has stood as a beacon of hope and a pillar of support in the Charleston community. Established in 1891 by Reverend Daniel Joseph Jenkins, their organization has evolved from a historic refuge for destitute children into a modern, multifaceted campus dedicated to empowering the next generation. While their name has changed to reflect their holistic approach, their commitment to the legacy of resilience, education, and musical heritage, most notably the world-renowned Jenkins Orphanage Band. You might have seen, we ended an episode with a little recording of that band. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, check it out. And that remains at their core. So we had other places that we thought about being, and this is where we ended up. And I'm so grateful to Akua for suggesting it and for bringing us in. So it's been a whirlwind week.
It has been.
And how are you feeling after being here for as many? Yeah. I'm going to give you the mic and let you speak a little bit on that. Get out.
There's a wonderful movie. It was funny. I was having a conversation with my young people who haven't really gotten to be South. We live in Miami, but Miami is not the South, right? When you go to Central and North Florida, you get more essence of the South. And actually experiencing the South, or the heart of the South, the nation, which I learned this week on a Gullah Geechee tour with our good friend Godfrey, that this is a particular feeling and an experience.
Yes.
And when I was explaining to my young person what I was experiencing, she said, "Mom, sounds like you in Get Out." And I was like, "Are you the only crazy woman who would go with a white woman and a whole bunch of white people and just stay in this community? I only know you doing that." So we laughed really hard, and then I came out and told Jazz explained to me exactly what it is that I'm feeling. So I'm glad to have this deep dive conversation and talk about a little bit more further about what that feels like and how we came to this conversation. And our essential conversation question that we're going to be talking about today is, why do we give AF about celebrating 250 years anniversary of the United States?
Yep. Yes, so that is our essential question. And as we were thinking about who we wanted to have here in the space, I used to live in Charleston, as most folks know that are watching the podcast, that have watched it before. I lived here for 22 years, and I started thinking about all of the amazing humans that I knew that lived here and who we wanted to invite to be in the space. So I'm very excited to have all of you here and to have all of you have a chance to meet Jay and for her to meet you. It really has, this week has felt like a full circle moment because this is the most time I've spent in Charleston since I left. Which was 5 years ago. So I needed this week, I needed this healing, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today and how that's going to happen. So I think I'm supposed to answer the question first. So I'm going to start, and then we're going to pass it to our elder of the circle. So why do I give a fuck about 250 years of this country? I don't, except to say that I was reminded this week that 250 years is not that old. This is a very young country. And there was a spark in me that registered as hope because it's not 500 years, 1,000 years. I mean, it is well ensconced in its patterns, and we all are seeing that come to fruition day after day after day right now. But the fact that it is as young as it is, the other day it just happened upon me that it gave me hope. So
how young is it? Is it like a teenager? Is it a toddler?
I'm gonna that's a great question. I'm gonna say, because I've always said that white supremacy is like a toddler in the Walmart when you tell her that she can't have the Barbie and she starts, she starts to ramp up. First she gets mad and she asks again and you say no again, and then the screaming starts and then no again, and then eventually they're on their backs flailing their arms and their legs and dying for you to give them the thing, and you either give in and you give them the Barbie or you pick them up and you take them out. And I feel like that's where we are. I feel like in this day and time, white supremacy is in that, it is in the middle of the Walmart, flailing its arms and legs, hoping that we will give in to what it wants. And my hope is that we hold fast and we pick it up and we put it over our shoulder and we carry it out of the Walmart. But we'll see.
Because those are the moments that's an opportunity for teaching some other way of being. When
right.
Folks are having tantrums.
Having that temper tantrum.
Because I know in Black culture, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
There was one time that Jazzy, when she was there was one time when Jazzy was a young person and she wanted something in a grocery store, some food, and she started wailing and flailing on the ground. So I got down on the ground with her and I was like, all right now. This will not be, and you will not have any of those things that you want. Yeah. Which was interesting. Another person in the store saw that and they came up to me and they were like, oh, you're parenting. We need more people to parent their kids like that. So all of us need to be grabbing up the United States off the floor and saying, you will not do this.
Yeah. No matter how uncomfortable it is. I'm speaking to all the people who look like me. No matter how uncomfortable it is, it's time to sit in that discomfort, to know that you're not going to die. It's going to be okay. And that we have to move through it. That's the moment that I feel like we're in, maybe even more obvious to me than in past times, but I could be wrong about that. So,
and the key thing is you got to get down.
Yes,
on the ground.
Got to be on their level, and have those discussions. Yes, absolutely. Which is why we're here, right? So, so I think it might be time to pass it to our elder in the circle who crafted this, painted this amazing painting that we have in our backdrop.
Tell the story of how we came to this
So we came to this space yesterday for our site visit, and we met the executive director in her office, and we walked in, and you spotted it first.
I saw your painting. I said, I know this art. And I walked over, and I was like,
and I looked at it, I said, that's Elena.
I hardly recognized it.
It's so beautiful.
It's been a long time. Yes. So this, we said, oh, that has to be the backdrop. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. It has to be. So we are so pleased to have the artist here with us. So I'm going to pass it to you. Love to hear your answer.
I'm happy to be here. Someone said that we're like a ball, and half of us is a 3-year-old, and half of us is the true self. And so we're all sort of dealing with that part of ourselves that is being acted out in ways that we can even relate to, because that's a part of ourselves. I didn't even know it was 250 years when I first heard it. I'm not have never been interested in history. Some people are, and I love that. I love the fact that some people do know history, and I wish I did. And this is helping me to know history a little better, because now I'm like, well, so that's what happened. 250, that was the, what is it called? From England.
The
revolution from England. And I don't really have a vocabulary for that. But I know that I can't relate to the joy of it, like you say. I can relate to the joy of Juneteenth and the beginning of emancipation of enslaved people in this country. And that was before this 250 years. We were here before that. And I had to get that through my head, that it was before that. And so this is really helpful for me to hear this, to understand a little, become a little bit more aware of where do I fit in this whole cosmology. And what I'm painting now is outer space. And I integrate people into this outer space. And I think it's because I'm trying to get out of this world. You know, I've escaped. I'm escaping. So this conversation is going to bring me down to ground myself. And I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say.
That's beautiful. Thank you for offering that to us. I guess I'll build on what both of you all are saying. One, you took us to otherworldly. You took us to remind us that 250 is, maybe it's a teenager, maybe it's an infancy in comparison to maybe longer empires. And with that said, then we have to remember that there are other ways of knowing and being. So yes, let's go to the cosmos, let's go to the galaxies. Yes. I'm all for it. What are indigenous practices, as you reminded us, both here on Turtle Island, what we call the United States, Mexico, and Canada, as well as for those of us who are the descendants of enslaved people indigenous to the motherland. I'm also thinking about the idea of a teenager, right? And me and my sister always crack jokes if we're gonna bring the family analogy, which gets interesting because paternalism, right? But we have to think about if the United States is a teenager, it's an angry teenager, and we got to bring in the parent, Europe. And you got to bring that whole conversation in. So, yeah, 250 is long, but it's not. And if a world existed before 250, a world can definitely exist beyond 250. I teach my students. We spoke earlier, so I'm literally just invited in. I was coming in to meet Akua, so I'm all about building relations with people, and perhaps it was meant for me to be here today. I teach at the College of Charleston, and the school started in 1770, so 7 years before the Declaration of Independence. So I love to remind students of that. I teach education primarily, so I'm teaching people who are training to be future teachers. Yes, which is needed. So yeah, I don't know. Thank you for what you all have both offered. So again, otherworldly, and if we're doing angry teenager, then they're probably upset at their parent, Europe. who did a lot, who infused a lot, even though they tried to break away. A lot of that mindset is still there and ingrained.
Thank you. And so the question is, why do we care about 250 years of history, right? I would say for me personally, if you don't know history, then you're doomed to repeat it. I know that's a common thing, but that's kind of what I think of. So I like to understand history so you can kind of learn from your past and kind of see what you can apply to it. I'm Gullah Geechee, and something I always hear my elders say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, which basically means, like, you don't got to toss everything out, but some things you do have to toss out. So that's when I think of that question, is thinks of, okay, you definitely need to understand and study history so you know how can you apply it to the future.
Absolutely.
Bravo. Well said. Well said. Well, I'm kind of conflicted as to why I give an F about 250 years, because I was military, right? My family's military. I grew up military, right? I served this country. I love this country, right? But I'm also a black man. I'm a black man first, right? And for black men, it's just 250 years of oppression, right? So I'm angry at this country as well. So after 250 years, right, it seems like we should be doing better, especially when it comes to people that look like us. And it seems like what we're missing, right, is each other. It's going to take all of us in this fight, right? Because I love what you said about being a teenager and about taking the bathwater out with the baby and all that good stuff. I love all that, what you said about that. But at the end of the day, we've got a baby in the White House, right? And everything that we have done and everything that we will do will be affected on how we deal with this baby that's in the White House. So as a military guy, I'm conflicted. And I always say I'm conflicted because I love this country. I serve this country. I even went over to Iraq for this country. So I love it, right? But as a black man, I can't support it. And every 4th of July, I can't support it. But Juneteenth, I'm with you. I'm down with you. And usually, I work for the government too as well. So, anytime they give us time off, they give us a holiday, I'm all for that, right? I never realized some of the holidays that we were taking as well. I mean, we still have Confederates Day as a holiday. And that's a hard holiday for me to take. But, like most people say, it's a day off, I'm getting paid, so I'm going to take it off. I prefer to work that day. But, that's just me as a black man in this America that we live in today. I'm just hoping that we can do better because we know that we can do better.
I did not know that there was a celebration of Confederate Day.
South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am. It was last week, wasn't it?
Heart of the nation.
It was last week.
It was last week. South Carolina still celebrates
South Carolina.
Confederate Memorial Day.
I'm coming to understand. Wow.
So why do I give a fuck?
All right.
There it is.
Yeah, that's my husband. He chooses the F. I'm calling it what it is. Anyway, wow, that's a lot to hear everything that I've heard. But I spent a lot of years being angry. A lot of years being angry. And I served my country as well. My father served this country, and I could go on and on. But as I mature, I have started to want to find the goodness. And because I have to, because I don't want to allow people to take my joy. So there are times when I hear the bass that many of you may not pick up on, but I take it to the mother country because I know it's in me. And I've chosen to look at the goodness of those people before me. When I stand up, though, for rights of other people, I remember those that lost their lives and the unfairness of it all. And I will say that here in this state, I've lived in many places. I've lived in Europe before and various places in the United States. But there is something about this place that draws me back. And I love my Gullah Geechee history from this area. I love to hear it as I walk through the streets. It resonates in my soul, and I have great pride in who I am and of my people. but we've got a long, long way to go. And I'll choose to still see the beauty in everything, but I choose to also be willing to stand up and speak out for what's right and those things that we need to do. So yes, I give a fuck.
Thank you.
Why do I give a fuck? Fuck, fornicating under the consent of the king. Anagrams, words. Every letter has a soul and every word has energy. Energy. It has life. Every word has power. Why do I care about 250 years? My. 250 years is such a small amount of time for this country. 250 years. What about before 250 years when my people lived in paradise? Great buildings. Been here. Been ya. We been ya. But you want to highlight when the ships came. Why do I give a fuck about 250? Because it has changed the lives of the world. This tiny city, the heartbeat of the world, the blood flows through the holy city. But all we have been given are lies. I give a fuck about 250 because I know the truth. And the truth will set you free.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Why do I give an F about 250 years? I do care. I think that when this country was, stepped away from, revolutionized away from British rule, it had to have some roots into something that was unique, something that was idealistic. Did all that come to be? Did all men created equal really mean all men were created equal? No, but the intention, I think, originally was there. We do have many countries that have very oppressive regimes. We do not fear, like some people that live in other areas across the world. However, this last decade has been different. It has really started to change the course of the history of what democracy means. And that's where we're at right now. So is it important that we celebrate a history of independence from the British rule? Yes, but it's just part of that history of a long history on this land. And just because that current regime is brutal, I mean, heartless, does not have the qualities that you'd want in a leader. I do think that there are other ways that we can be involved in helping to make everyone's life better. And that's what I choose to get involved with in my community. So.
November 2024, I was at the pyramids in Egypt. And one of the things that I got from that is that here was this once great civilization that ruled the world. And it fell through the many means that other great civilizations fell. After that, it was conquered by the Greeks. And Greece rose and Greece fell. And after that, Egypt was conquered by Rome. Rome rose, Rome fell. The basic, as Sir Isaac Newton said in the law of gravity, what goes up must come down. That's a reality of great empires. Now, to take this closer to home, as to whether we should care about the 4th of July from a Black perspective, Frederick Douglass said, most people know that on July 4th, 1852, he said, "What to the slave is your 4th of July, it is yours, not mine." What most people don't know is that on July the 4th, 1875, in Washington, D.C., He said that the Negroes should take part in whatever is in this country because we are a part of this country. Now, on the other side of that, the Bishop Henry McNeil Turner in 1897, during the days of lynching, said that he would never stand for the flag or sing My Country 'Tis of Thee because of what was happening with lynching, and he called the American flag a great rat. However, at the same time that that was happening, 4th of July in the South was only celebrated by one group of people. And Dr. Powers bears this out in his Black Charlestonians book. The African Americans were the only ones who celebrated 4th of July in the South post-Civil War because the Confederacy represented slavery, and to the African Americans who fought for the Union, the flag and all that meant freedom. So what should people do? Basically, I reserve the right to individuals to celebrate or not celebrate as they see fit. But I should add this, though. You earlier talked about the big baby that's in the White House, and you talked about the regime that's happening. That itself is not the problem. What the problem is that 77 million people voted for that regime and for that baby, and that's what we have to work on. Thank you.
Well said.
Okay, we done.
No, I appreciate that historical context as well, the same that you provided, and all of the service that has been provided to this country.
Yes.
And some of the things that I am thinking about, one, as hearing ourselves as individuals being in the responsibility of the role of guidance and parenting is kind of what we've been using as a metaphor. Guidance in the country, and having these type of conversations is critical to being able to do that. As we were talking about the regime and the structure, that not being the problem, but that 70 million people voted for these structures. And as I've come to South Carolina, it becomes very hard for me to celebrate. And I'm curious to learn about the African American people who were celebrating their independence. That is a different perspective than what I've known at all. So thank you for sharing that perspective. And as I've come to South Carolina, as I said at the opening of our conversation, that it really feels like Get Out. And what we're experiencing today with Project 2025, with all of the legislation changing, I, in this experience of South Carolina, see that the United States is trying to get to this white comfort again. And in this white comfort, in South Carolina as the model of that, as the heart of the nation, and then to me, the heart of the world, because all the things that happen in the South, because the United States is so good at narrative building and dream selling that everybody across the globe buys into, not having the understanding of the divisiveness that exists on this land, the blood that you can see in your trees here in South Carolina very clearly. And as a non-white bodied person in South Carolina in particular, I feel like a shadow soul. I don't feel like an autonomous human being. Like, I don't feel like I was downtown and it was nothing but white folks, and that was like culturally acceptable. Neighborhoods where there's still blocks on the ground reminding us that human beings were being auctioned and sold off. Those are things that are hard for me to celebrate. Even though we've evolved to a certain place, we haven't evolved to a certain place when the heart of our nation still holds that and holds it as a ceremonial thing for people to come and celebrate, for people to come and stand on blocks that people were auctioned off and take pictures with smiles is harmful to somebody who's not really having the experience of Southern culture. It's very difficult to see chains still hanging. It's very difficult to go to an angel tree and see resurrection firm. And know that 70 million people are comfortable in that, not just white-bodied, but non-white-bodied. And it's weird to me. That's the only word that I have for that. I don't exist as a shadow soul. I'm a very present non-shadow soul. And the things that I want to celebrate is all of us to being in our full autonomy. And where do we get to that? That is how we get to that by taking up that toddler, talking to that teenager, thinking about what the parents from across the waters gave us, and trying to have conversations about the reality that in this present day, somebody who's an autonomous human being can exist in the structures that exist as a shadow being, and that's comfortable to too many people, and that's not okay. And especially if we have folks that are fighting for this country, we are fighting so that the folks that are on this land that were here before can exist as whole beings in this land. And until we can do that, the celebration for me is on pause. But the hope is not. The celebration is. So, yeah.
Well said.
We chose the Jenkins Youth and Family Village because we wanted to connect with the roots and the historical foundation of the Charleston community. And when we were talking about where we wanted to be, we knew that the environment that we needed to sit in needed to be directly connected to the roots of this community. So this is why we chose this space. This is why I give a fuck about where we need to be and why we gave a fuck about where we chose to record this particular conversation.
Thank you to all of our guests for being with us, and to the Jenkins Youth and Family Village for hosting us. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, as you move throughout your day, continue to ask yourself,
Why Do I Give a Fuck is produced in collaboration with Johanna and Diane. Music by Norwegian musician Water. See you next time.